Hello, 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 good evening. Happy New Year's Eve. I just wanted to come live because it's the first time I'm doing a live on my personal page. And I figured what better way to do it but to end the year live on the page. So I'm hoping that all of you are having an amazing start to your day, evening. Maybe you're already carrying in the new year, depending on what part of the world you're in. How are you spending your New Year's Eve today? I really wanted to come on here and give my heartfelt thanks to those people who have supported me throughout the years, who've shown up for themselves as well as myself, and to just share some reflections upon, what this past year was all about and what this new year is bringing to us. Oh, so much love for each and every one of you. I know this has been a challenging year. It has really been a year that I believe, if you haven't already done so, just really sit in deep reflection with gratitude in your heart and awareness of how no matter what this particular year or decade has thrown you for curveballs and challenges, it has all been to strengthen you, to show you where you have the courage, where you have the resilience to bounce back stronger than you ever were before. Because there's nothing in life that isn't there to set you up for success. There's so many things the mind will go into, the craziness of, this was so bad, and we can point fingers and we can look and play the victim. I know I talk about this a lot, but the reality is life is there to serve you. It is not we're not here to live in misery. We're here to reclaim and recapture our joy, our childhood. If you were like me, I was up in the trees. I was all about climbing. I was all about wanting to fly. I believed I could fly. Of course, I broke my arm falling off the monkey bars, and and I was trying to fly when I was a little kid, and I was rollerblading or roller skating back in those days, and I ran into one of the bars that went around it. So, we are still in this human space suit, as some people call it, but we are here to have experiences and not to get so caught up in the good or the bad and extremes of, it was so horrible, and staying in the wallowing and the pitying and the woe is me. The reality is we need to feel it, we can heal it, and we can really take that forward as our gift to share with the world what it is we're made of. What is it I came to live this life to do? I know I came here to have fun. And don't let anybody shame you or guilt you into feeling bad about what you have a passion for, what you like, what you love, what your values are. One thing I've learned over this past year for myself is it's very important to know your values. And no matter who you're around, if your values don't align and you're not willing to work with one another, those relationships aren't going to work out well. There's going to be rubs. There's going to be disagreements. There's going to be challenges, because if you value something and somebody else values something different, your values don't mesh, they don't come together, it can cause problems and discord, discomfort. And the reality is we all want to come together in a union to support one another, to uplift, to inspire, to empower. That's what the Ridiculously Authentic group was created for. Is originally we had a vision. Tom and I were like, it's all about people coming to a place where they can feel supported. Where if you don't have the community or the network where you live or the family, not everybody's so blessed to have a family that is supportive or friends around them that get them. And so it's good to have these forms of connection. Even though technology can create the FOMO, the fear of missing out, and the addiction to the technology, hey, I am that. I do it as well. I'm human. And because the thing is we all crave human connection. But we're less connected now more than we ever were. And this is something we were talking about this morning at our yoga class, about how, and I remember this from a train ride back in Naples with a psychologist. he was just so beautiful, and he articulated it then, just as I know it now, that this day and age, technology has created this void, and the current generation is more devoid of emotion just based on the disconnect of human connection. I see you, I hear you, I can touch you, I can smell you, I can taste you, you know, like all these things that we took for granted for many of us who grew up in the day and age where you wrote letters, or you picked up the phone and you called someone, or you knocked on the door of someone you used to, you know, hang out with. We don't have that like we used to. Now we have a device between us. And isn't that interesting? Because if you think back, you know, what are the devices, you know, what are your vices? Things that come between you and another person can be the one thing you're using as an addiction, as a buffer to stay distant. And that can be a coping mechanism in itself, because of fear of abandonment. It's easier to put yourself behind a camera on the other side of the phone instead of being face to face with somebody, because the confrontation means vulnerability. It means courage. To face a person one-to-one, mano a mano, donna a donna, man to man, woman to woman, it requires the vulnerability and the courage to show up as you are in all your humanness, with or without a mask. I mean, it just depends on if you can play a role in a public forum or if you do better behind the scenes. And we all choose that based on what we've been experiencing through life. If you have traumas in your past, you have anxiety and issues with going in public, you know, social anxiety, then chances are you probably hide more when that's one thing you crave the most. The human connection is a natural need. We need human interaction to relate to one another, because it's through relationship we grow. There's no way you can get to know yourself better than to relate through another person. That's how you get to know you. Another person also shows you who you are and mirrors back how you are to yourself when you're with another person. And when you speak, and I'm listening as I speak, 90% of what you say is really meant for you to hear. The other person just happens to be participating in that experience of yours. And so I don't know who the messages that I'm about to share and what I am already conveying here are meant for, but I love you all, and really, truly, this video is for all of you who have followed me for the past couple years, supported me, showed up, and just been you. Because I do believe, even if we haven't met in person, that we have connected for a reason. And I do believe in uplifting the world, touching one person at a time, if I'm in person with you or I'm here on a camera. Happy New Year, Trish. I love you all equally and not more than one another. Sometimes we can feel like we love somebody more, and we do have favoritisms. But it really boils down to that's an aspect of ourselves that we see in that other person, that we can, if we're aware and willing to share and to go within, is a part of us. If I say I love that part about you, you know, it really just tickles me. It makes me laugh, giggle, feel like a child, you know, for first time fun and joy. Then what I'm really saying is, I see in you what it is about me that I need to love more of. And so 2019, it threw some curveballs for me. I know that for a fact. This past 10 years has been challenging. In 10 years, if I think of where I was 10 years ago, whew. Hey, even Buddy's doing a thing down back there. If I think 10 years ago, I was still bouncing back and forth between here and Italy. I was in a toxic relationship. I actually had just closed that relationship out, and I was in a really good place. And that's when I knew I took the time to get to know who I am. I didn't date I didn't even intend to get involved with any men. So I was celibate for several years as a result of knowing that I had to start to love myself and honor who I was. I had to get to know myself again, because all I was doing was identifying through another person, which is a codependency. And see, the thing is if we feel like we need to go from person to person to person to person, then that means we're not aware of who we are, because we continue to look to someone else to define us, as opposed to when we know who we are and we're good with that, we own it, we honor it, we accept and love it. That in itself is an empowerment. That is taking back personal power. And then the right person will show up. Sometimes a couple people will show up to test to see if you recognize if your past experiences have taught you lessons and you've made peace with them. But the reality is the vibration at which you're at in the moment is what is attracting who comes to you. So every person that comes into your sphere is there for your evolution, your growth. Everything's a blessing. Everything's a gift. And I truly believe that this next year is going to be that much more powerful. I was saying this morning that I feel like somebody's turning the spigot on. You know, it's almost like they're about to just go whoosh, and it's going to just come pouring out. That's the energetic sense that I've been getting. And yes, I'm excited. I have no idea what this year has in store. In fact, I don't want to know necessarily. I have intentions. I've been visualizing. I've been getting into the state of recognizing how I will feel when whatever it is, getting excited, reminding myself that I don't have to have all the answers and that I can go with the flow and trust my intuition. Sometimes we can be too much in our heads and we don't let our hearts lead. And that's been one of my problems over my life, is thinking I need to lead with my head instead of my heart. But let me tell you, don't you notice when you feel confident, the heart just naturally opens up and you stand more erect and your posture is more wow, and people notice you more, because that's when your heart is engaged. The courage, le cœur, French word for heart. Really just going back to the root of anything in life is that if you notice, you feel it first in your body. Sometimes even before your head has picked up what's going on. The head will feel this like, oh, something's unfamiliar, but the body will sense something different. But the body also responds to the mind. So you end up in a paradox of recognizing that the mind's doing one thing, the body's doing another thing, and you need to discern what's the truth for you. Is it real? Oh, honey, you don't want to be hurt. Well, you know what? One thing I've learned, if you're not willing to have the courage to have your heart broken up even a little bit more, because how can you let more light in? I do believe in just constantly going forward. I don't believe in the whole somebody broke my heart. That's a giving away of power. That's my personal opinion. And yes, I understand when you love somebody so long, you do need to grieve and go through that process. But I believe that you're holding back something that somebody out there is meant to receive. And so if you could try to envision that there is somebody out there that your husband just showed you just a glimmer, there may be somebody even more powerful there to give back what you gave to your husband. So that's just my sense. And I don't know what it would be like if I lost somebody really, really strongly. That other than my mom, that's been the most powerful relationship that I have lost. And I still struggle with that because it hasn't even been 2 years. And sometimes it feels like it just happened. And I still can't believe she's gone. But as far as an intimate relationship and somebody that you are deeply, deeply connected to, I think I'll just say this. I have had people I loved that died, that I had been deeply intimate with. And those were difficult. But I did recover. I did bounce back. And I did find that there's more out there for me, that I'm not just meant to stop loving just because, or stop and guard myself and not allow anybody else in. Because in that, you're hurting yourself more than anybody else. And I think this idea of loyalty is overrated. The person you need to be most loyal to is yourself, is to your heart and soul. But for some reason, our culture, a lot of society has deemed loyalty as something that you have to go out and prove. You don't have to prove anything to anybody. And if you allow somebody into your life, you don't have to prove to them that they're the one and only, or to yourself that, you're being loyal or disloyal to somebody in the past. In fact, I love the quote I read earlier today. It was by Sadhguru, basically, saying that if you're continually stuck in the past, you're never living in the present. Your life will never be anything but what you've experienced in the past. And we want to have this amazing life. We deserve that. And the purpose, it may be just sit down and sit with, what is it that brings you joy? It doesn't have to be something grandiose. Your purpose may be just smiling to people every day, giving someone a hug. Go out and make sure you get 10 hugs a day at least. That'll increase your happiness factor. That'll increase somebody else's happiness factor. And get those endorphins running and those happy hormones excreting. Because really, we're here for one another. I know, it sounds so stoic and old school to say, oh, we're here, we're oneness, we're supposed to support one another, blah, blah, blah. But we really, truly are. And when you find your joy, believe it or not, you're encouraging through example and supporting others to do the same. Sometimes that idea of supporting one another is not something so cut and dry, black and white, for someone to say, oh, well, you're not doing such and such. Well, you don't know. You can't judge somebody else's experience. You don't know how they're impacting those around them. We need to just focus on our own stuff and stop pointing fingers at others. We need to stop thinking this is good and that's bad, because we're really putting ourselves in boxes. And anytime you put a label on something, you've essentially negated its unique qualities. Whether it's an experience you're having, oh, I just had a breakup, so, it's just that, and just throw it in the breakup box. No, you need to honor every experience you've ever had, because like I was saying earlier, change is a death and rebirth process. You have to let go of the old, but you have to go through the grieving process, as well as be open to the birthing for the reborn, because the reality is, in that space, you really need to glean and integrate what happened in the dying off. And then what's coming in for the new, you have to adjust to. It's not as simple as just saying, let it go, you'll get over it. There's so much more. This is the human condition, and we need to be compassionate with ourselves so that we can support and be compassionate with others. There is no compassion without passion. Truly, I really want to see everybody thriving this year. I know for me, I want to do so many different things. I have a tendency to put a lot on my plate and then get upset with myself and to beat myself up about not meeting my own expectations. But I'm going to be gentler with myself this year. And I tried starting doing that this past year. Like getting more sleep. Who out there needs to get more sleep? I'm sure I'm not the only one on that one. Or time management. I put so much on my plate that I tend to try to do too much in a small window, to where I also see how it affects my day. And I know I need to get up earlier. I am actually getting up at 3 o'clock in the morning and doing a chanting and a meditation and practice. But then I go back to sleep and then I get back up. So what are you struggling with that you want to release in this new year? Or are you already prepared? Have you set your intentions? What are your goals? So these are my questions to you. Let me know. What is it you're letting go of? so that you can be reborn into something new. And if you know what your intentions are and what your goals are for this new year, I'd love to hear what they are. And I'd love to support you, and maybe even doing something where a group of us comes together and keeps each other accountable. Because maybe that's what some of you need. And if that's what you'd like, please let me know in the comments, because I'm more than willing to put together a group where we can hold each other accountable for 40 days. Set an intention and make it simple. Don't go over the top. It doesn't have to be something grandiose. It could be something so simple, like just going to the gym, or just getting so many steps in your day, or let's say reading a book from front to cover instead of a bunch of books that still have earmarks in them that you haven't finished yet. If there's something you want to do, let's do it together. Let's hold each other accountable, because it takes at least 40 days to create a new habit. And most of us, and I'm also just as guilty. I mean, I am very dedicated. I am very much devoted to my personal practice and working on myself, but I still fall short of taking care of myself as well. So I can always look to improve myself. I know that for me. I'm always learning. I am always growing. I'm always looking to find the balance or the lesson or to integrate a situation. So that was another thing that we were discussing this morning that I think is important and imperative to make note of, that the majority of us, when we go through something, we get a deep learning lesson in it. How many of you out there practice different modalities, healing modalities? Maybe you go to all different types of events, from sweat lodges to healing sessions to chiropractors that also deal with color therapy, or beds, and there's healing beds and things like that. It's very easy when you're on the spiritual path to get addicted to that bliss state, to get so blissed out you leave your body, and it's another form of addiction. And it is something I think needs to be talked about. A lot of people don't talk about this. If you're constantly looking for the next high or the next step, and it has to be some big because a lot of times that's what gets people hooked on spiritual modalities, or even yoga, or whatever it is they do. It doesn't even have to be in the spiritual community, but whatever brings you that high joy, that bliss, that state of ecstasy, can also be just as much of an addiction. And so this is where we have to integrate and learn to discern what is really working, and if we're integrating what we're working with, or if we're jumping for the next best thing. Because if you don't give yourself enough time to integrate the teachings, the lessons, the blessings that come out of one thing that you've just done and you're new to it, then you lose the lesson, and you end up going and reaching for something next. And then you miss it again because you're going for the next thing. There have to be baby steps. Now, there are no rules for what works for everybody, because I do believe everybody's going to find their way. And it doesn't have to be this woo-woo over here, or this, have to do plant medicine over there. Because believe it or not, each of us has our own unique way of waking up. We call it awakening, quickening, oneness, the all. You call it whatever you want. Whatever you call it doesn't really matter either. It's about feeling it. It's about truly embodying whatever it is that resonates with you and sticking with what works, and not just looking for lots of little things. I have had to kind of play and move around and see what works. And I admit I've dabbled in a lot of different modalities. And I just find what works most for me, I keep to it. And I try to be consistent because I know it works. And I believe in being fully present in my physical body and not trying to escape it. Because if you are out there and you are escaping life by reaching for the next best thing, or trying to stay out here in airy fairyland, how are you going to live here on this earth? I mean, that can be dangerous. And I know, because I've been there. I had to catch myself and reel myself down like a balloon. I was floating off into, the ethers. But really, the beauty of this life is to be living in it fully. And no matter what it looks like, It's all just simply experiences. So I was going to pull some cards because I was thinking, well, maybe some people will want to hear whatever comes up. So the first will be Notes from the Universe because it's a fun card deck, right? By Mike Dooley. So if you have anything out there that you've been wanting to let go of, this card I'm going to pull, it's going to mean whatever it is that you need it to mean. That way I'm not putting any intention on it. I just deliver whatever comes through, and you put your meaning on it, because in the end, that's all that matters. You could go to a psychic and have them talk to you, or you could have someone do energy reading, and we can all do that. We're all capable of doing that. Some people are better at communicating or discerning and recognizing an individual's limitations, because guess what? On an energetic level, that's how connected we are. It's just that those people are more tapped into their own, that they recognize it in you. So are they just basically telling you what it is about themselves they are recognizing in you? Something to consider. I like this card already. Hubba, hubba. Ooh, baby. You know that dreamy look of deep, soulful love you've sometimes seen in the eyes of another as they gazed into your own? Expect a lot more of it. Woohoo! The universe. Who couldn't use a little bit more hubba hubba lovin'? Thank you, Carl. By the way, that's a beautiful horse that you have. I saw that picture. It's gorgeous. Listen, if you've been holding back from love and giving love, then just step into it and own it. There's nothing wrong with connecting with other people. And like I said before, what I've sensed is that there's just more disconnect now, and that we really need to connect even more to ourselves, because the only way we're going to be able to connect to another is through ourselves and our deepening our relationship to self. Happy New Year, Odette. Half an hour into the new year. Woohoo, that's awesome. Aw, you're ahead of us. We'll see you when we catch up, right? All right, so now I figured, I'm feeling like something's hidden. Like there's a deeper thing in here, there's a deeper message for some of you out there. So these are Colette Baron Reed's Wisdom of the Hidden Realm. I haven't really used these too much, except for when my goddesses come over. I have so many amazing things planned for this next year. So stay tuned. Make sure you're following, by the way, and that you have the notifications turned on, because between going live here and some events I'm going to be posting as well, I have all sorts of goodies in store. And if you're in the Clearwater area, you may be able to attend some of them. We were just discussing today about doing a mala workshop, because we haven't done that in a long time. And I've made some malas for my sister and my mom. And there's a woman who does the jewelry, my earrings, for example. She is local here, so I'm going to reach out to her, because we've talked about it off and on and we just haven't gotten together. So if you're interested in creating a mala, I'm going to host a mala making event at my home soon, within the next couple months. Hopefully next month. Alrighty, are you ready for this one? Okay. Ooh. Flow, baby, flow. It's all about the flow. The River Queen. Flow, letting go, natural movement. Tell me that's not a beautiful photo, picture, art. So the River Queen, let's see what number 36 says in the book. Hello, Tommy. How are you doing this evening? He's going to swing by here and check on the buddy, the boo, who's back there. I tease because he's so cute. He's like, I know I tease, and this isn't being derogatory, but he's literally up my butt 24/7, and I say that in a loving way because he's so cute. He's like, Mommy, I'm right here. I'm just letting you know I'm here. He's such a sweetie pie. And it's so endearing, because I'll go in the kitchen, and he's like, oh, I'm coming with you. I'm like, you know not to be in the kitchen. And so last night when I was prepping the bananas, he was like, oh. So I was giving him some bananas as a treat, can you believe he had enough banana that he's like, okay, I'm done with the bananas. He went to sleep. But he's got plenty for tonight too. So here's the River Queen, and here's what it says. And you choose how it actually applies to you. So as an ally, the River Queen flows into your life as an ally to remind you about the concept of allowing and the law of non-attachment. Remember that all rivers come from the mountains and run to the sea to be absorbed by the larger body of water. There, the liquid evaporates into clouds that rain on the mountains to continue an endless cycle of fluidity. The River Queen requires you to be fluid and to let go of rigidity and perfectionism. You will travel far as long as you let go and let flow. Even maneuvering around the greatest blockages like water streams around big boulders. No obstacle can hold you back now if you're willing to surrender to the natural flow of events. Be easy on yourself and others and watch how smoothly you move forward. You may be surprised where the river takes you. If you feel like that's a challenge card, I really believe that that's the message right there. That's the message that was meant for you then. So, flow, flow, flow. Let it flow, and you'll go far, far. Oh, yes. And if you want another card, we've got the Diamond Dreamer. Material wealth and true prosperity. I think that's a beautiful thing that we need some healing around. How many of us have been conditioned to vilify money? Our relationship with money is not healthy. And I think it's important to recognize that all money is a tool. And the value you place upon it is also a direct reflection of yourself. Because the equation of money normally ends up equating to your worth in the world. And the reason I say that is because the majority of us have worked for our money. And so our time and our money are deeply connected. But if you don't value yourself, value your time, then how could you have a healthy relationship with money? Because in that case, you probably deny receiving. And to heal that really requires going deep within and recognizing your true self-worth. And not just saying, oh, I'm worthy and I know it and I love myself and all this. It can be woo-woo just talking about it. But you truly have to embody it. You have to heal that relationship. And sometimes it's something as simple as a forgiveness. And I'm going to do a video on the Ho'oponopono prayer specifically for that, because I think that is very important, is to recognize your thoughts around the money. Because how else are we supposed to be abundant and flowing in this life with ease and grace if we're unwilling to allow that which will support us into our lives? And in the spiritual community, there's a whole lot of spirituality floating around going, oh, I'm not supposed to receive money. Oh, baloney. Psst, get over that one. That's the most absurd thing I've ever heard, by the way. So the Diamond Dreamer, Material Wealth and True Prosperity, says, when the Diamond Dreamer arrives, he represents the successful manifestation of the unseen in the material. Be sure you truly want what you think you desire, for this ally will commit to getting it for you. All manner of conditions will flow, here we go with the water again, around you. Messages from Spirit will serve to guide you towards achieving your heart's desire. If you want a house, you'll be led to it. If your priority is a new job, with the right continual steps, you will achieve this. If you desire a more harmonious relationship, the measures needed to create this will be obvious. A project finally pays off. Material gain and positive financial shifts may also be on the way. You will indeed see the tangible results of your ambition. The Diamond Dreamer also serves to guide you to the appropriate choices so that the unseen is awakened to move mountains on your behalf. Positive communication is now possible in all your relationships. There's so much available to us. We just have to be open and willing to receive it and stop getting in our own way. Because the reality is, people don't break our hearts. We allow people to push our boundaries or do whatever it is we claim they did to us. That's our own doing, not the other person. That's something I read earlier today, and I said, yeah, that's pretty profound, but the majority of the people aren't going to want to hear that. Overall, I'm going to say that I believe 2020 is all about clarity, vision. It is about prosperity. Because whatever it is your heart and soul desires and you're willing to align with, instead of whatever this is going on, stepping into your courage, stepping into your power, allowing yourself to be seen, to be vulnerable enough to do what might feel uncomfortable in the moment, but is going to catapult you into the most amazing life ever. Hi, Danielle. And I want to see your art there. Carl, you're going to have to share your canvas painting. Ooh, I love art. And something else I want to be doing this next year is doing more art. So I have a whole lot of visions going on, and I will keep you posted on that. We'll pull one more card. This is one of my favorite decks. You've probably seen this if you've been watching me long enough. I love the Oracle of E. I probably use this deck the most. Probably because it's so simple and it's just so straightforward. And I think it's just what resonates with me. And we all have to figure it out. What is it that aligns and resonates with you? Last message as we're closing out 2019, ready to jump on into 2020 with clarity and 2020 vision. Manifesting. Oh, thank you, Danielle. You were beautiful too. Whatever you see in me is a reflection of you. I do believe that. And when people tell me I'm beautiful, I'm just like, you're seeing your beauty in me. Because that's my spiritual name, Sundari Kiran. And beauty to me is another expression of the divine, of God. So, oh, I love this. This you can't make up. I always say that. Baggage be gone. That is the message to close out 2019. It's about dropping the baggage. We're not here to hold on. We're not here to carry heavy luggage across to the new year and the new life. It says, come on now. Aren't you tired of being stooped over from all that emotional baggage? The thing is, it all happened yesterday. This is now. And with one flick of your powerful, energetic finger, you can send that old has-been baggage overboard into the drink. It is time to fly free. Let it go, my friend. Sometimes the simplest things are the hardest things to do, aren't they? Nobody said it was going to be easy. So, baggage be gone. And I always flip the end. Yes, getting rid of the old. And heartbeat is the last card. So as you're getting rid of the baggage, your heartbeat. Oh, I can feel your heartbeat. What did I say number? That one was. Heartbeat's number 49. So as we go to the back of the book, your heart is wide open as a dance club on Saturday night. Remember that old expression your parents used to say, I love you to the moon and back. That's how you feel about everyone. Enjoy this blissful state of love, sweet love. More is coming too. I truly believe that if you have been challenged over these years, this past decade, some of you have also expressed having hardships in relationships. Make sure you take time to get to know yourself. Don't put all that baggage, that weight on someone else to carry. If you're unable to love yourself first, there's no way you can be looking for it on the outside. And that's a true statement. You really need to work on the healing that your heart and soul requires for another to be able to show up and love you the way you need to be and deserve to be loved. This next year, whether you've done the work or not, it's going to show up to you. You have to be willing to sometimes be alone with yourself to intimately reconnect to who you are. as opposed to looking for someone else to do it for you. That's doing the hard work. And then when you've done that work, let me tell you, the right person will show up. And they will mirror all that love right back to you as well. Because you're going to give them permission to love you the way you love you. All right, y'all. I love you, love you, love you. Do I have any fortune cards for 2020? Well, you just heard them, Carl. I'll be back. I'll do more. I'll be doing more lives. And I love you all, like I said. Tune in, tap into that higher wisdom, that knowing of who you are. This is about you. And you got to be the best you ever so you can experience the most amazing life and just support the world with your joy and your bliss. If you're happy, it's contagious. So no matter what you're doing, get out of the guilt, get out of the shame, and do what feels right for you. Because when you do what's right for you, you ripple out, and that supports the rest of the universe and the world. And we got to start with ourselves. Have an amazing and a safe New Year's Eve. May you arrive safely into 2020 with laser vision, clarity, perfect vision. I love you very much. We'll see you next year.